With the 4th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Clelin Ferrell, defensive end, Clemson.
Okay, this is interesting on a couple of levels. By the way, Clelin Ferrell is a very good player.
Yes.
He's one of 5 Clemson defensive linemen that are going to be drafted. 3 of them, in all likelihood, are going into the first round. But that Raider fan is like, wait a minute, I thought we were going to get Josh Allen. So Clelin Ferrell is a guy from Richmond, Virginia, who knows about dedication to task. His father, Cleavester, served in Vietnam. His mother served in Desert Storm. They come from a military background. He graduated in 3.5 years in December. His father, as we said, passed away in 2012. Look, he has first-round talent, but we just all thought the first edge rusher might be Josh Allen instead of Clelin Ferrell.
Well, I think I understand the pick. When you look at a pure 4-3 defensive end in Paul Gunther's defense, he fits that mold as a guy that can stop the run and put his hand down. I think Josh Allen, as we discussed, is more of that stand-up outside linebacker. So they went with the more traditional guy that can play the 6 technique and also play the 5 technique. That's what John and Mike Mayock went for.
Yeah, look, I understand, what you're talking about philosophically, Book. And look, and he's one of those guys who you're right. When you put him in a 6, when you put him in a 6-eye, he'll stand in there and battle. I just don't know if he gives you the juice that you necessarily need to take care of the passes in this division. And I'll tell you that I just don't know if you needed to pay this price for this guy. Okay, we're going to make the value argument, which is one of the things we wanted to see what Oakland would do in terms of value. Would they pay the right prices? But if he turns out to be an all-pro, nobody will care. But he has to turn out to be one of those guys who can affect the passers in this division.
Yeah, I ask people when I talk to my guys in the NFL, where do you think players will go? With Ferrell, it was anywhere between 15, 25, 15, even to 32. So this was, in the old days, what we call this? A reach.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, Ferrell now becomes the highest drafted player in the history of the common draft out of Clemson. Sammy Watkins in 2014 and Gaines Adams in 2007. Both went higher. That distinction belongs to Clelin Ferrell. And the saddest person right now is Christian Wilkins, the other Clemson defensive lineman, who said, please don't let Clelin get drafted ahead of me. Sorry, big fella, that's the way the board went down. We are just getting started. The draft is an experience.
With the 24th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Josh Jacobs, running back, Alabama.
Hey, there it is. The Raiders take Josh Jacobs out of Alabama. Split time, of course, with Najee Harris and everybody else, and Damon Harris as well this year for the Crimson Tide. Josh Jacobs had trouble getting recruited, despite the fact that in high school he averaged 200 plus something yards a game and almost 15 yards a carry. Yet somehow he fell through the cracks. So someone told him to take a look at using an Instagram or Twitter account. So he made a Twitter account called I Am Josh Jacobs, and lo and behold, he put his video out there and everybody started flocking to his games.
Look, I'm going to tell you something about Josh Jacobs. This is a man when he runs football now, and you better buckle up your chin strap and make sure you have a mouthpiece. And if you don't have a mouthpiece, then you don't value your teeth very much, because this guy is going to finish on you. He can run in a zone scheme. He can run in a power scheme. He's a guy who can run between the tackles. He doesn't have breakaway speed, but he has enough speed to produce plus 20-yard runs on the perimeter. He's a guy who wants to get it north and south, and trust me, he's not looking for the sideline when he finishes his runs. He's looking for you. What do I like about him the most, though? The willingness of him to block, both in the run game and in pass protection. He's fantastic.
I love him. He's got great change of direction, great vision, great instinct. He wasn't overutilized at Alabama, only about 250 carries, so you're getting on back that's relatively fresh. Don't tell me about his top end speed that he can't go 80 yards. How many backs in the National Football League can? He's a guy that you can give. He can play 3 downs, and like Lewis said, he's physically tough. And having played for John Gruden, he loves a physically tough running back.
11 of his 16 touchdowns came this year, and guys, 463 fewer carries than Devin Singletary, who's a Florida Atlantic running back, could be a 4th-round draft choice.
Yeah, right.
463 fewer carries. The kid's going to be drafted
amazing.
over the next couple days.
Yeah.
You think about that. A lot of tread left on those tires for one Josh Jacobs, who wasn't even expected. Damian Harris was expected to be a higher pick back in August than Josh Jacobs.
With the 27th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Jonathan Abram, defensive back, Mississippi State.
So back-to-back Mississippi State Bulldogs come off the board. Jonathan Abram, by the way, this is a guy that initially went to Georgia, and then Mark Richt left, and then he said he was kind of lost. He transferred to Jones County Junior College, and then went on to have two really, really good seasons at Mississippi State. And Lewis, this is a guy who does not shy away from contact.
Absolutely.
He had a couple of targeting issues he had to deal with, but he's like, I don't play dirty, I play fast, and I just get there in a hurry.
This is a guy who is a very good blitzer, a very good hitter. He's position versatile. He can play free. He can play strong. He plays some nickel. And he's a guy who has very good cover skills as far as being able to cover down on a number 3 wide receiver in the slot, or allowing you to, in your base defense, go ahead and cover a wide receiver so you don't have to go to nickel. He's very, and he plays the game. I'll tell you what, he doesn't play dirty, and he does play fast. He is a blur on the screen. He, again, fits the mold in terms of what Mike Mayock and John Gruden have said they want in a football player. Highly competitive, loves the game.
Physical player who, when he comes down, he can cover tight ends, he can cover slot receivers. A guy that's going to play and make plays around the line of scrimmage. With the game of football today being not as much vertical, more horizontal, 0 to 15 yards, you need playmakers, you need hitters near the line of scrimmage. This young man is a hitter and provides a lot of versatility for the Oakland Raiders.
Proven entities against big-time competition. And I think you look at what Abram did, you look at certainly what Josh Jacobs did, and Farrell at Clemson playing in so many huge games. Gruden and Mayock looking for those types of players in round 1.
By the way, just the 3rd time in the common draft era, Mississippi State has had a pair of first-rounders. Happened last in 1996, and before that, 1982. So they're the Raiders. Did they address their needs? Yes, they did. Jonathan Abram there with his daughter. By the way, already graduated, and he's on to getting his MBA. This kid is going places on and off the football field. For the moment, he's going to Oakland. And, you know, then to Los Driven. Pick is in for the Raiders. Let's see where they're going.
University of Michigan, 1997 Heisman Trophy winner, 9-time Pro Bowler, and Super Bowl 45 champion, Charles Woodson.
Raiders! All right, now hold on. First order of business. In keeping with tradition, you know this is the way Willie Brown would want it. You guys, Mother's Day is coming up. Don't forget about your moms on Mother's Day. Call her, take her out to dinner, buy her something. Don't forget about moms. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, those that are here, and those that we have lost. Willie Brown, we love you, baby. Now let's get down to town business right quick. With the 40th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Trayvon Mullen, DB, Clemson.
Why is this interesting? Well, keep this in mind. Trayvon Mullen played at Clemson, right? This is the 4th pick the Raiders have had with their first-year GM, Mike Mayock. Mike Mayock was at the national championship game. 3 of the Raiders' first 4 picks played in that national championship game between Alabama and Clemson. Right off the top, we are showing you Trayvon Mullen in said national championship game.
Defensive MVP of that game, Todd. And Lewis, I think you look at a guy who obviously has the length, 6'1.5", nearly 200 pounds, cousin of Lamar Jackson. Against Alabama, 6 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, and an interception. You see the domination there. They took Farrell early. Now you add a guy like Trayvon Mullen, his teammate. Didn't see him tested a lot in 2018. Mentioned the length, the speed, the recovery ability. Made some nice plays on the football during his career, Todd. Trayvon Mullen fills a neat area for the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, and after the Cleveland Farrell pick, I think they've done a really good job. Josh Jacobs is a great fit. Jonathan Abram is a stud who had some issues in terms of durability, but when he's on the field, he's a big-time playmaker. And Trayvon Mullen continued to add to that secondary.
Look, this is a guy who has tremendous measurables, just a shade under 6'2", almost 200 pounds, 4'4" in the 40. And I can just tell you this, he may not have been tested because his receivers were usually covered. This is a guy who's got tremendous press man and off-ball coverage skills, great vision, great makeup speed. You saw the interception in the national championship game.
On a couple of picks, the Raiders, again, only 13 sacks last season. They get Max Crosby, the defensive end out of Eastern Michigan.
Look, I tell you, if you want to think about a comparable, think about Jared Allen when he was in the NFL. That's what I started thinking about when I watched this guy.
Wow.
6'4", 255 pounds, 4.66 in the 40. He has a 6'8", 9'3" cone. He plays the way Mike Mayock describes the potential players for the Raiders as needing to be. Meaning just fury, meaning always wanting to get to the football. He has some technique issues and some strength issues as far as holding up against the run. But when they put this guy on the move, he is always around the quarterback. He is always hustling. He never quits. He never gives up. Him along with Cleveland Ferrell, these are the types of players that they want out there. They have another edge player now, and with some more strength development and just some refinement as far as his hand use in the pass rush, I really like this guy in the 4th round.
Well, listen, they think he's a good-looking pick, but they really should have picked his brother Miles. He's a Ford model. So you take a look at what we've got here. It is pretty clear what they're trying to do in Oakland, right? 13 sacks last year, 17 fewer than anybody else. Ferrell off the top, Crosby now, and a couple of cover guys as well as a good running back.
4.66 speed for Crosby coming off the edge. Check the box there. 36 vertical. When you go back to the Purdue game, thought he played the run better in that game than he had, Lewis. So the kid has it really coming together. They tested off the charts.
All right, now let's take a look at the Oakland Raiders. Went with the corner, Isaiah Johnson out of Houston. They drafted DJ Hayden out of Houston a few years ago, Todd.
They did, and listen, I came into the game that I covered against Arizona early this season, and I didn't know much about him. And the scout told me, hey, keep an eye on 14. He was a wide receiver early in his career. In 2017, he switches to corner. He starts 5 games that year, and he kept getting better. And this year, he did the same. He is long, 6'2", 208 pounds. He ran a 4.4 flat. So right now in the 4th round, you look at a corner who can be a press corner with that length at 33-inch arms. And yes, there's some improvement that needs to happen in terms of playing off the line and also being able to use his eyes and instincts. But you see his ability when he gets up in your face and can press you and can run with you vertically. I mean, there's not many guys that have this kind of length and speed combination.
So he goes to the Raiders, and you look at their page, Mike Mayock and John Gruden together. Lewis, what do you see?
Here right now, particularly look at the corners that they have added here. Trayvon Mullen is another one of those long, big, fast guys. They are going after certain profiles of players in terms of both their makeup and their physical measurables. We had some doubts about what Oakland was going to do, starting off with Cleveland Ferrell going as high as he did, but you cannot argue with how they are methodically and philosophically putting this together as far as their roster, particularly on the defensive side of the ball now.
By the way, Foster Moreau, the tight end that just went out of LSU.
Live from Las Vegas, the site of the 2020 NFL Draft and the future home of the Raiders, I'm Amal Garcia, laborer. With the 149th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Hunter Renfrow, wide receiver, Clemson.
Go Raiders!
And with that, Hunter Renfrow's 37-year collegiate career has come to an end. No, we're just kidding. He walked on to Clemson in 2014. There's a great story. His first year on the team as a walk-on, he was standing with a towel and a bottle of water, and an offensive lineman came over and said, "Water." He thought Hunter Renfrow was the water boy instead of an actual player. But then he went in to play in all 15 games as a redshirt freshman. And of course, we saw what he did with Deshaun Watson catching the game-winning touchdown in the national championship game a few years ago against Alabama.
Nothing about this guy makes sense. He looks like he's 8 years old with pads on. He takes his helmet off. He looks like he's 45. He works in the slot, and if you need a 3rd down reception, you need a conversion, or if you need a touchdown with 6 seconds left in the national championship, guess who you're going to? Every single time you're going to 13. This guy just makes plays. A lot of it is about route running and also the ability to adjust to the football and catch the ball away from his frame. Those are the 2 things that he does at an exceptionally high level. He's only 5'10". He's 184 pounds. He doesn't like to work out in the weight room. He runs a 4.59 at the Indianapolis Combine. But I'm telling you what, while none of it makes sense, somehow, some way, there you see the touchdown to win the national championship with 6 seconds left. Somehow, some way, it would not shock me if this guy winds up playing in the league for 7, 8, 9 years.
Well, everything, nothing about what he is should be where he is.
Well,
It wouldn't surprise me.
Who caught everything and adjusted to poorly thrown balls and that stick him? Freddie Biletnikoff. John Gruden knows the history. He knows where Freddie Biletnikoff was. This guy caught a lot of off-target throws, whether it was from Watson, Lawrence, didn't matter. He was a third down guy. Ball was low and away. He'd make the catch. He did whatever, and he ran a little better time than I thought. He ran 4.59. Not bad. 35 vertical, not bad. So this is a kid, former walk-on. He has a little athletic ability, but hey, can he transition to the NFL and make it against the best in the world? We'll see. But at the collegiate level, at the highest level, winning national championship.
7th round of the draft, and the latest selection by the Raiders out of Prairie View A&M is the defensive end, Quentin Bell. And this guy, very light, but started out as a wide receiver here, so you know he's an athlete.
Yeah, what a story. I mean, he starts as a receiver, as you said. He goes to junior college. He finally winds up at Prairie View at A&M, and they, in 2017, have him catching the ball. 19 catches that season. Then they move him over in the spring and say, you know what, why don't we try defense? Gets 7.5 sacks as a defensive end. He's one of those guys that was not on the radar. You didn't know anything about it coming into the last year. And then all of a sudden he has the production that he has. Then, not invited to the combine, at his pro day, he has results in the 40-yard dash, broad jump, and bench press that would have ranked in the top 10 in all of those areas for defensive line. So this is Mike Mayock, John Gruden saying, you know what, we're in the 200s right now, 7th round. Let's bring in a guy who's got the traits and see if we can develop him.
Well, there you see the board so far for the Raiders. Obviously, we all were a little questioning about them taking Furl with the 4th overall pick. But once you get past that, what do you see?
Look, Josh Jacobs and Jonathan Abram play the game that I, as an old school football lover, want to see the game played from running back and from a safety. Trayvon Mullen has as much athletic ability and as much natural cover skill as anyone in this draft at his position. Max Crosby, again, just needs to get a little bit stronger, but plays the game with a fury that you don't see very often. Hunter Renfrow just a good football player. Quentin Bell, someone who has tremendous traits. They're doing it the way you're supposed to do it as far as the draft. Now it's just up to John to go ahead and develop these guys and get them to produce on the field.
Meanwhile,